Welcome back to the channel. My name is Wong, and today we're talking about just how good a 90s Honda Civic is in its stock form, and as to why you should consider probably buying one. This is my good friend Jason's brand new Honda Civic EK1, and it's in bone stock factory condition. It's only got 100,000 Ks on the clock. This thing is as OG as it gets. So let me introduce to you the owner of the car. Jason, how are you, man?
How you doing?
Good seeing you. Tell us a little bit about your car. This thing is insanely clean.
Yeah, this is my 96 Honda Civic EK1. I drove 2 hours last week to pick it up from Rye. Saw the ad online. Wasn't quite sure, the photos weren't great. The information seemed a bit too good to be true, and went down to inspect it and had a look, and everything checked out, and here I am 1 week later, happy owner.
Wow, honestly, that's such a story because most of these original Civics sell out within a second. So what made you want to get into one of these 90s Honda Civics? I know you had a Mark 7 Golf GTI before this, and a lot of people would say that this is a bit of a downgrade, right?
Yeah, the Golf's a fantastic daily driver and I really enjoyed it. But I wanted something with a bit more of a racing pedigree to it, a bit of history to it. Something a lot more raw and engaging. And you know, the Type R incidentally is based off this Honda Civic EK, so that was really good to know. It's not really a downgrade, it's just something different. I wanted something manual, economical, reliable, and fun to drive, and this just ticked all the boxes. On top of that, it's a great base for modifications and quite cheap to do so with so many parts available.
Can you tell us a little bit about your favorite aspects about this EK?
Yeah, I'm really happy with this pickup. It's in as good a condition as I would have hoped for. Obviously, the one owner aspect was great. The condition is fabulous. The exterior is pretty much flawless. And the interior is just untouched, I'd say.
Yeah, let's have a closer inspection of this car. There's definitely a few dents and scratches, but what do you expect from a 25-year-old car? But once you have a look inside, this thing is literally flawless. I don't think I've ever seen an interior as tidy as this. And it's even got the original Honda head unit. And then the overall paint condition of this car, it's nuts. It's actually in such good shape. The owner was what, like 80 years old?
The owner was in her 80s. She had the car since day one. Took really good care of it. Has all the original booklets and keys, and kept it in really great condition.
That's nuts. Wait, does it still have the original red Honda key?
No, it didn't actually come with that, but then she did email me and she's going to send it over. She found it just the other night.
Oh, so she had it in like...
It does come with it, yeah.
Oh, so she had it in like a storage room?
Yeah, she's kept it.
Wow.
She's kept everything.
I've never actually had a car with the red Honda key before, and I've owned maybe what, like 10 Honda Civics? That's insane. So just have a look around this car, guys. It really presents well, and just something about the shape of the EK just looks so iconic. I think it's because it's very similar to the EK9 and the EK4. The color of this EK is also really unique as well. The cypress green, I think, is representative of the 90s, but it's a very clean example. Let me show you guys the driver's seat and the steering wheel. I don't think I've seen a cockpit like this in such good condition. And have a look at that. That is it, guys. 103,000 kilometers on the clock. That is nuts. Buying one of these all 90s Honda Civics, whether it's got 100,000 Ks, 500,000 Ks, it's a car that just keeps running if you're maintaining it correctly. So let's jump in this car and go for a drive and see how it is 25 years on. I honestly can't wait. If you guys have been enjoying the content and you want to see more Honda Civic builds and more car reviews, consider subscribing to the channel, and let's get into it, guys. Alright guys, we're going to get started in the EK1 Honda Civic. Okay, we're going to get ourselves situated in this car. Fix all the mirrors, the seating position. Feels good. Honestly, as soon as you hop into this car, it is actually literally a time capsule. It takes you back to the late 90s, and I really like that about this thing. So the cabin of this EK1 is a little bit different to the other examples that I've seen because it's actually flawless and it's been really well kept. The owner of this car, Jason, picked it up from a very old lady in her 80s, and it's a one owner vehicle that's been really well maintained for its age, which is really surprising because most of these cars have actually been thrashed by a lot of young kids. They were at once upon a time very affordable to buy into, but over the course of the years they've definitely become more scarce, and an original example like this is very hard to come across. So I'm really fortunate enough to drive Jason's new toy. This thing is going to be a really sick project for him, especially because it's got the bones of a very good car. So we're setting off now in the Honda Civic EK1. Let's see how this car drives and whether or not you should consider buying a Honda Civic in its stock form. And immediately once you hop into this car, it feels pretty darn sorted. Here in Australia, we got a fair few variants of the Honda Civic EK. The base model being the CXI, which was bare bones, Spartan, back to basics with the Civic. It literally had nothing in that car. However, this vehicle that I'm driving here today, it is the GLI model, and you've got power windows, you've got nice aircon, you've got a tachometer for the cluster, amongst a few other things that the GLI had over the CXI, and most notably, it had disc brakes in the rear, which is a huge performance upgrade at the time. However, in all of the EK Civics, they came standard with the D16 Y4 engine, and it doesn't make a whole lot of power, guys, and to be brutally honest, it's probably one of the slower cars that I've driven. This vehicle only makes 88 kilowatts of power. That's effectively half of the K28 in the JDM FD2. It's insanely slow relative to that, but you have to remember that this car isn't about downright speed, it's about how it feels. In actual fact, the Type R, the EK9, was based on this Honda Civic EK1. And so a lot of people modify their EK1s and they try to match that of the EK9. Although the EK9 does have a few chassis reinforcements from factory, they had that Honda trickery that just made it a little bit more special. When you step on this car, you expect it to hit VTEC. However, in this particular example with the D16 Y4, it never came with VTEC. And so you really have to wring its neck to get a lot of power out of this car. And for that alone, it only makes 88 kilowatts, which is not a whole lot, but it's pretty fun to drive when you really get up there. It's a car that is all about the momentum, and when you're traveling at speed, you can really push this car through the corners. It is a little bit floaty and the suspension is a little bit on the soft side. However, conversely, it is very comfortable of a car. And that's surprising for a 25-year-old vehicle. It is very compliant over the bumps. And as you guys know, modifications on this car are so easily accessible. You can pick a setup of coilovers for $350, and they span all the way up to $3,500 and more for track examples. You know, the potential for modifications on this car is truly limitless. The fact that you can swap out the D series engine and put in a B series motor or a K swap motor or even an H series engine, it really is just limitless. And I love that about this car because you can really customize it to the owner's preference for whatever reason. 88 kilowatts of power. Takes a long time to get up there. It's really quite challenging, especially on the public road, but it's a lot of fun. It's definitely not going anywhere quick. So when you're driving the EK Civic in bumper-to-bumper traffic, it's a very easy car to live with. You know, the clutch is light to engage, the gearbox is so smooth to roll through the gears, and it's just that Honda gear shift that you just know and love. And the steering feel is light, but still hydraulically assisted, and so you get a fair bit of feedback through this wheel. And although the steering rack ratio isn't actually the quickest, you can upgrade it with this EK4 rack or even the EK9 rack, and then it just becomes a whole lot dartier when maneuvering your way through the corners. And at the end of the day, it's still extremely reliable. These engines are honestly bulletproof, and they're over 25 years old now, which is just a showcase of how well Honda had made these cars back in its day. And it's also very economical. You can get a full tank of fuel in this car with 91 octane for $50, and you can run up to 500-600 kilometers on the car. That's really good. Additionally, in the interior, you've got these really comfortable couch-like seats, and although they don't give you any bolstering or support when you're driving it through the corners, it's a really nice cabin to be in. And being that it's the GLI model, you've got the power windows, which is a nice touch. There's a whole lot of space in the rear as well, so if you've got little kids or small adult passengers, they'll fit in here just fine. Because there's not that many airbags in these older cars, it's a lot more spacious of an interior. This car being a hatchback, there's an abundance of rear trunk space, and you can actually lift up the parcel tray so that you can have even more space. It's a very practical car, and utilizing it as a daily driver, honestly, it really fits the bill for exactly what you need it for. And although it's 25 years old now, it doesn't make it any more difficult to live with. And if you can live without having a Bluetooth stereo from factory, and although it doesn't have cruise control, it doesn't have lane keep assist, it doesn't have many safety features, it's a car that gets the job done, and it makes it a fun and enjoyable one whilst doing so. Although being 25 years old, I think has really aged very well. You know, when you think of the Type R, the very first one of the Honda Civics, it's the EK9, and it always rings true as such an iconic vehicle in Japanese motoring history. And then when you look at an EK1, it still has remnants of that great car in so many aspects. I love the curvaceous body shape of the EK, and then the taillights. It just looks so different to everything else on the street. And even in the guise of a base EK1 Honda Civic set out in this cypress green colorway and the original wheels with the original stance, it really is a cool looking car. However, prices on these cars have absolutely skyrocketed in recent time. Because of everyone wanting to own a JDM Classic, these Civics are also quite expensive to purchase now. And they span all the way up until the low $10,000 mark if you're looking for a very clean factory original example. A stock 90s Honda Civic really is an awesome little car. It's fun to drive, it's economical, it's reliable, and if you're using it as a daily driver, it just works out to be a treat. Even though it's 25 years old, if you can live with a few sacrifices of technology, it really still works. And best of all, there's so much performance modification potential that it truly is limitless. Well, that about wraps up this video, guys. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, please smash that like button. In the comments below, tell me what your thoughts are about stock standard Honda Civics. And as well as that, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Please take care. Bye for now.